Hey YouTubers, wanted to talk to a little bit today about the Mini Recon HPI. I've had it for a couple years, got it up on Christmas, and I took it out this spring and wasn't working. So, we'll pop the cover off here, turn the ESC on, and nothing. The receiver kicks out like with an overload. The battery is fully charged. I charged it for a good hour, and struggling, and it's got full power. I put the meter on it. It just doesn't have any power. So I unplugged the ESC. I want to let you know how I fixed it. And see, it's a 7.2 volt, 1100 milliamp battery. This is the problem. The milliamps are gone. Toast. So what we did, went out and bought, they come in a 2-pack, fairly reasonable now, 7.2 volt, 3000 milliamp batteries. I can run on one of these fairly heavy for about a half an hour, given I still have plastic gears in this truck. I don't want to tear them up too bad. So I got it, and I'm like, well, how? That's not going to work because the battery is quite a bit smaller, the compartment. So what I did is I took the ESC, mounted it down in the battery compartment now, and I had some tin laying around, so I made myself a nice battery compartment. Sits right in there, and it's low profile enough that it actually sits under the hood nicely. And if you make it correctly, and it does not strain anything, the battery is a little bit heavier. So you can see that it still fits on here nicely. You can still get the hood pins under there. The connections. Now these batteries have a little bit larger connection. I'll have to order some and clip off the originals. But they still fit in here nicely. Still make good contact. Until I can get some in the mail, we'll have to stay with that. I did beef up the shocks because of the weight. And the originals were pretty beat up. In the rears I went with an aluminum. Not very impressed with them because of the plastic upper and lower. And the threaded is also still plastic. They weren't quite long enough, so I did add a little shim under here to get a little more spring pressure on them. Now it sits and rides pretty nice. I stayed with the originals in the front because the ones they sold me were actually quite a bit too short, and my ride height wasn't to where I wanted it. So we went ahead and left the originals in there. I'll give you a little demonstration that she's all up and running now. We'll throw it down on the ground here. And give you a little test run. Plenty of power now, plenty of steering, everything's working fine. One other thing that as I was kind of modding and mocking up the battery tray, I thought of is, I'll take this off here. Down on the bottom, the motor is pretty wide open. That gets pretty hot. I didn't want to kick up a lot of gravel and stuff and get in the motor. This isn't a second motor that I've put in it. The original, I was thinking that was the problem. It does growl a little bit, but it's still, when I hook it up to power, it still turns. Haven't tried this one back in there again, but the new one's been running fine. So what I did is I created a little cover that goes over the motor, and it's a little ram air system that I can still hide under the body. And what it actually does is rams the air down and up into the motor, and also at the same time protects me from rocks and debris getting up into the bottom of my motor. So I hope you guys like this. If you got any questions, just put some comments in there, and please like, and hopefully I'll get into some bigger and better RCs and be able to show you guys more in the future.